Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Cynthia, and today we're going to be creating some more ephemera for the Lady in Blue journal. Here I'm just showing you the ephemera that we've created so far. We have tags as well as a little folder, and today I really wanted to create some envelopes. So here I've picked out a few different pieces of fabric, some embossed paper, and some printables that we are going to be able to use to create these envelopes. As always, everything will be listed down below. So if you're interested in checking out where I got my printables for this, they are from Ruby and Pearl XO. I do encourage you to just click on that little, I believe it's like an arrow, and it'll give you all the information that you may be looking for. So my first step here is to pick out some of the printables that I want to use, and I'm gonna need 2 sheets for each envelope. We are gonna be creating 2 different ones. I need a sheet to be the outside of the envelope, as well as I want something on the inside of it so that it's really pretty when you open it up. And I'm just trying to pick out some printables that are gonna just work well, in my opinion, for an envelope. I don't want it to be too busy on the outside, so I am gravitating towards the more simple, I guess, printables. And so here I've selected these ones. I'm just trying to see which one I'm going to be pairing with which. The busier, like kind of wallpaper looking like printables are going to be on the inside of the envelopes, and the more muted designs are going to be on the outside. So the first envelope we're going to be making is going to be using these papers, and I'm just debating here, what kind of envelope do I want to make? Is it going to be an envelope that is like a square envelope that has like almost like the triangle flaps flapping? Or am I going to be making more of a rectangular envelope? And this is what I chose ultimately to do. So I'm just using my ruler as a guide on where to fold my paper. I don't know why, but I kind of struggle making envelopes. They are always a little bit crooked, and that's really okay. You know, it's a handmade piece of ephemera, and I mean, there's something to be said about beauty within the irregular and the imperfections. So this is going to be the width of the envelope, and now I'm just trying to figure out what I would like the front of the envelope to be. So I'm just seeing here, I kind of made a mistake. I don't know what I was thinking. I realized, well, I need the paper to be quite a bit higher than that. So I'm just folding it as best as I can and kind of fixing up my mistake here. And then I'll be using my scissors to remove the unnecessary pieces of paper from the envelope. I do want to have a bit of a torn and like worn vibe to each of the envelopes, so I am tearing the flaps of the envelope so that it just adds a little bit of interest to it. We're also going to be adding some textures and some inking. And here you see that I've added a little bit of an angle to the inner tabs, just so that everything just kind of looks a little bit more polished. As I am folding it, I'm realizing here that I don't like what that looks like where I've ripped the edge, so I am just going to be ripping out those pieces just so that it just seems a little bit more cohesive. If you like straight edges, of course, you could simply leave everything not ripped. So here is where the inside is gonna come into play. Had I really had a plan while I was creating these envelopes, I probably would have done this before ripping the edges. This way you could have had the pattern flow through and not really have to worry about the torn edge. But I tore my edge first, so I'm gonna be doing something to it, and you'll see what I'll do here to kind of work around my mistake. But here I'm just trimming a piece of paper that is going to be on the inside so that when you open the envelope, it's really pretty and you see this beautiful pattern. I'm just using my glue to adhere everything. As I've mentioned in one of my previous videos, I recently got some fabric tack, so I'm just kind of testing it out with everything that I'm making to see if I really do like it, if it's worth the price, and if I need to continue to look for other glues. So I'm just sticking that down and pressing everything just to make sure that it's on there pretty good. And then I'm gonna be ready to move on to the next step. I will be folding it as well, making sure that it lays flat really nicely. And so now I'm ready to address my mistake. So what I plan on doing is I have these pieces of kind of chiffon ribbon, and I thought that perhaps if I create a bit of a ruffle on the inside of the envelope, it could mask that mistake that I made and just add a little bit of something extra special when you open the envelope, and it'll kind of be poking through some of the rip edges, and it'll ultimately look pretty. But before I do that, I do want to ink that white part because I don't want it to just be stark white. I also want to add something on the other side of it, and I've done this on a previous envelope that I was making earlier this month. So what I'm going to do is use this trim of lace, and I'm going to create a bit of a pocket on the front side of the envelope. I just thought it was a fun way to add just a little bit of interest, and yet it's still very simple, and you can just slide in any piece of ephemera you'd like, not only on the inside of the envelope but also in that pocket. now I'm back. I've ran through, I've inked that flap so that it's just not fully white, and I used my sewing machine to sew the different pieces of fabric, and now we have a little pocket. But I do want to add a little something on that side of the envelope. It just feels like something is missing. So I'm thinking perhaps maybe a label or just something. I am going to be using my glue to close up the envelope. And I'm going to be making yet another mistake. But you know, that's really, that it happens while we're crafting that we make mistakes. So here I've applied glue all over my flap without thinking that the other edge wasn't going to be reaching it. So I am trying to remove the glue, but I can tell here that it's not going to really work. Had this been for a journal, like in my own journaling, I wouldn't really care. But because I know that I plan on selling this journal, it's just not something that I want to leave in there. So I decided to just rip those edges and simply get rid of them. And I'm just going to ink up the little bits and pieces that are left out. And it's just a quick and easy way to kind of fix up that silly mistake that we did, or that I did. I'm sure. I'm not blaming you guys. And here you see me just inking up a little bit of the edge as well, just so that it pops a little bit more. So I went through some of my little labels and I'm just trying to figure out if I can find one that I like with it. I picked out some blue ones, but ultimately I am going to be picking out a different label. It wasn't quite the right shade of blue. I really like this particular one with the number, but it just didn't seem to really quite fit. These labels are from Tracy Fox, I want to say. I'll double check and it will be in the description box. So I am just gonna pick out just a simple one instead. Here you see that I just ripped a piece of embossed paper, and what I'm trying to do is just kind of frame the label a little bit better. I don't want it to simply be a label just alone. That seemed a little bit bare to me, but I really like that smaller label, and I'm just playing around with different bits and pieces trying to see what I can use that will work nicely. And once I finally make up my mind, I'm going to be using my glue to secure that onto the envelope. So I wanted to have a way to close the envelope without it being like a washi or anything like that. So I'm just using a little ribbon and making a pretty bow on it, and I thought that that was a very kind of feminine and different way to close up this envelope. I'm sorry that the lighting is a little bit odd here. I unfortunately dropped the lid to like the cap to the glue, and it fell in a space that will never be seen again. So I had to turn on my light, and then I just forgot to turn it off until a little bit later in the video. But now I've moved on to the next envelope, and with this one I am going to be doing the other type of envelope, I guess. I don't know if there's many other kinds. I guess perhaps a coin envelope would be another type of envelope, but I'm just exploring different ways to make envelopes. And again, I'm just using my ruler to kind of help me out, trying to keep it as straight as possible. I'm not measuring anything. I don't have a envelope maker or a template of any sort, so I'm just kind of going with my eye and hoping for the best. So now that I've had my shape kind of figured out, I'm gonna be cutting the very tiny edges that I'm left with. I'm just kind of curving it. If you have some sort of punch that you can use for that, that's probably a lot easier. I don't, so I'm just doing my best here. And I will want to put something on the inside again, so I'm going to use that other printable that I had picked out to do that. And here I'm just folding that little flap that's left. I'm just placing the printable in one of the corners, and then I'm going to be using my ruler to help me trim it down. I'm just carefully folding the envelope back now that it has the inside part glued to it. And I'm just using my glue stick to glue down that small piece. So I know that I want to do something on the outside of the envelope, so not only on the front side, but also I'm gonna have to figure out a way for a closure. And I'm just playing around with the pieces that I haven't used yet, just trying to figure out what would go best with this printable. I do like this one, but it just felt like perhaps the white piece of fabric might be better, and so I'm just trimming a small piece of it, and I'm going to pair it with a piece of I had a scrap from a file folder from when we made the tags, and I'm just gonna trim it a little bit, and then I'm gonna create a tag out of it. I'm just punching the corners, and then I'm just gonna sew that onto the envelope, and I'm also gonna be inking it up a little bit just to distress it even more than it already is. And to use as a flap, I'm going to be using the embossed paper piece that I just picked out here, and I'm just going to be gluing down the two sides, and this way I can just slide in and out the top flap. So I'm just going to bring my envelope to the sewing machine, and I only sewed through the bottom part so that if you wanted to add like a little picture or something, you can use it as a tuck spot. And then on the other side, I just have that flap. So now I'm going to be ready to simply close up my envelope, and this time I'm not going to put glue everywhere. Yeah, less mistakes were made with this envelope, thankfully. That's it for this video. I really hope that you enjoyed seeing the process of creating these envelopes. It's been just so much fun creating ephemera for this journal with you guys. I hope that you all have a really wonderful day. If you liked the video, make sure that you like and subscribe, and I will talk to you all in my next video. Thank you so much. Bye now.